Hello, everyone. Good morning, and welcome to a new episode of Spontaneous Stories with Riccardo and, the duck of Spontaneous Stories. We have to give a name to our little duck, but he will come. Today I am, and I hope that we are talking about one topic that came in my mind during the week related to the proper communication in professional environment. And I was thinking, I got in touch with some people were asking me, Riccardo, can you deliver a training about communication, about how to proper speak in professional environment to support our team, especially to support there are people that are not used to speak every day with their senior manager, with the client, or in general they are like most of the time very they are speaking just with their peers. They sitting physically or virtually close to the other people, and they don't used to speak all the day, and especially they are just, let's say, used to communicate information like, I don't know, software development or technical information very quickly. They are not like communicating, they are not used to communicate. But then it comes to the moment, and this is what triggered their conversation. There comes to the moment that they are in a meeting room, they are in sorry, just check at the level in for example, in a presentation with their senior management, and they needed to communicate. They needed to present some slides. They needed to explain the status of a specific piece of work in a project. And this is triggered, as I mentioned, today communication, today spontaneous story. Because I will say, okay, someone told me, you are very great proposing training on how to use proper communication, leveraging on storytelling skills, but we don't see how this skill can be used, or we don't see how this communication skill leveraging on let's say the opening, the body, the conclusion, useful in a professional environment. And most of the people are like, or not speaking at all, or waffling too much, getting lost in technical details. Especially people that are they are very into their technical specific area. They are very into their when I say technical, because I came from a background of project and program management, but this is the same if you are thinking about people that are I don't know, into the accounting, or people that are into the finance. Sometimes they really got lost into the finance world, into the finance details of a specific operations in a specific finance product. So again, this is like no proper communication. So the question is, Riccardo, how can you deliver or can you a training, or can you suggest something that teams that are not used to keynote presentation that are not used every day to present in front of the client information, they needed to keep in mind to improve their communication into the professional environment. And yes, I have the answer, and this is why we are talking today. And I would like to start with a book. I mean, this book is a great book. I think that you cannot read easily the title of the book, but the book is 7 Brief Lessons of Physics by Carlo Rovelli. So actually, Carlo Rovelli is a physicist, an Italian physicist that teach advanced physics in France, in the south of France, and is a pretty famous now book writer because he wrote a lot of books about physics and advanced physics in a very simple way. And I would like to start with this book because this book is the first book and is called The 7 Brief Lessons of Physics. That's the brief idea that brings me the starting of today's conversation. And in this very small little book, he brings this 7 lessons of the modern physics, actually starting from, of course, from Einstein, from the theory of relativity, and he made it in a very, very brief way. And that's what, for example, this is the first lesson. It's, you see how teeny is. It's a Einstein theory of relative, and it's about 10 pages, no more than 10 pages, but it's written very, very big. So the point is, you can deliver complex technical information in a very, very short and brief way. And I would like just to read the start of this his book that say, in his youth, Albert Einstein spent a year laughing aimless. You don't get anywhere by no wasting time. Sometimes, unfortunately, which the parents of teenagers tends frequently to forget. And basically, in the first 2 pages, Carlo Rovelli introduced a storytelling about Einstein. So nothing about theories. Only in page number, basically, then he had some information about the big of the physics during, let's say, page 3 and 4. So just to mention that Einstein was not just like having a great idea from nothing, from the void. Always Einstein, I would say, I'm sitting on the shoulder of giants, because Einstein was mentioning that he was having ideas from Faraday, from James Maxwell, of course from Newton, and Carlo Rovelli, in a form of a story, introduced very well the things that Einstein took from them very quickly, from this big physicist. And then in page number 6, so only in page number 6, so 4 pages to the end of the lesson, he mentioned that finally Einstein had an extraordinary idea, and then introduced the idea that is it's at the bottom of the theory of relativity, that gravitational field is not diffused through space, but the gravitational field is the space itself. 3 lines to mention the most important discovery of our time. So what's the point? The point is, if you build properly your conversation, then you can be brief and succinct with the key point of your message. So in a professional environment, it's exactly the same. I don't want to say that when you are in a status meeting, you need to tell a story. course, you don't, most of the time you don't have a story to tell. But when, for example, you are in a situation that you are asked a specific information related to the work that you are doing, it's good that you first of all you make the point. And one of the points that Carlo Rovelli was doing in the book was saying, the first point was saying, all these great ideas, all these great physics discoveries or physics advancement comes from one point. Point is that you need to have your mind open and you needed to have your mind open and ready to work on what was done before. That was the key elements. When you read this 7 brief lesson, Carlo Rovelli is telling you, I don't want you to understand the physics, the modern physics, the mathematics. I don't want you to understand the technicalities. I want you to have your mind open. You want you to sit outside in the garden and just let your mind be open and wondering to absorb what I'm going to tell you. And then he got the point. The 7 brief lesson, and the first brief lesson is about the theory of relativity, and say in 3 lines, well, the big idea of Einstein coming from other things that the Maxwell, Faraday, and Newton did is that the space itself, it's a gravitational field. And if you have this situation, then you can absorb the ideas. And then it goes all out through all other 7 brief lessons. So this is a key element of the communication. First of all, say what you want to achieve. Say what the people want to focus on. And then build the context. Make it short and succinct. Now, before I jump into, let's say, 5 elements that you needed to keep in mind when you want to make your communication brief and succinct, especially in a professional environment, I would like to mention before I jump to these 5 points, I would like to mention one thing. You can always use the storytelling skills. It depends how you use them, and it's always very important that you have a very good knowledge of what you are going to say. If you have a good knowledge of what you are going to say, then you use this storytelling skills. That is a skill, it's not telling a story, in a way that help you to bring people to the point. Let me do another example. Imagine that you are in a status meeting. Your project manager is mentioning that I do always example of things that are not going well, because if everything is going well, I mean, everyone is happy. We are on the plan. But imagine that the project manager say, oh, we encountered this, let's say, this problem, or we encountered some delays because I just coming an example in my mind, so it could be not correct, but let's say the integration layer, we found that the integration layer was not what we were expecting. The development of the API that was like connecting data. I say, what you are saying, Riccardo, what is the point? Okay, I'm just creating an example. So this is a very technical things, and the project manager say, we encountered some problem on these very technical things, and I brought Ricky. That's my brother. Riccardo is the project manager. Ricky is the very technical guy that have a deep knowledge of this integration knowledge. And then Ricky can do many things. Ricky can start speaking very slow with a low volume, trying to that no one notice him. And this is not exactly what we want, because we want Ricky going into the detail, but not too much detail, and explain what's the problem, supporting Riccardo, the project manager, in the situation. So what we want that Ricky knows what is the problem into the integration layers and clearly explain to the client, to the other people sitting in the room. And how Ricky can do this? Well, Ricky should do this, first of all, say, for example, we were supposed to have a pre-prepared API that allow data to be exchanged. Sorry. So Ricky says there is an API and we were supposing to reuse this API. So we were supposing to reuse something and we could not reuse it. So we point very clearly where is the problem. And then go explaining, because maybe the client say, okay, why you cannot reuse it? And I say, okay, we were supposed to reuse this API to go on and do this integration layer, but we cannot use it. And the reason why we cannot use it is because the API was like developed long time ago, or was developed with some techniques that today we, as a technical people, we don't recommend to use it, or it's not recommended to be used by anymore by, I don't know, some, I don't want to do names, some companies, software companies that that you are working with for this integration layer. So they are like technical things that they are not anymore recommended to be used. So for you, we decided, for the client, for the work that we are doing, we decided that it was much better to rebuild the API in the way that is built with the new, is refreshed, and it will take some time. Thank you, Vittoria. Oh, I'm happy that the chat is coming, and so that's an example how Rick, the technical guy, should work, should point the problem. And this is again a story, because the story is that we found an API, we were considering this, using this API, but we then decided to go in a different way and then explain the context. Okay, so this my 5 elements, a recommendation to in a professional environment, in a situation where people expect that you don't spend too much time talking, are the following. I'm going to use my pad to write. Yeah. Change. Here we go. So the first of my 5 recommendation is a clarity. So the first things that you need to consider is, as I mentioned before, is going straight to the point. Okay. So first of all, clarity. Clarity means that you need to go straight to the point. Okay, go straight to the point. Don't lose too much time. Say first what is the point. The point is, we were planning to use this API, but we decided to do another API. Then you can. The second element is it's related to the impact. Using the right impact is it's conveyed by wording. It's very important that you use the right wording, and here it comes one of the skill of the storytelling. Not always you have the right wording ready to explain. Of course, you go in a status report meeting and you go prepared, so probably you have the right word already chosen. But the point is that impact is conveyed by choosing the word in a proper way. Every word matters. So when I was explaining in my impromptu example why we are not going to use the existing API. That client will say, okay, there is an existing API, why you needed to refresh it? Use it the wording properly. Think about the word that say the current API, it works, and this is what we were planned, but to make sure that we deliver something that is the state of art, something that is not obsolete, we took this decision to add some delays, but deliver to you something that is a state of art. So it's not like we don't do because we like new technology, we don't do because we think that is better. We do it because we want to deliver the best experience. We want to make sure that everything is working properly. So choose the word properly. So impact is about wording. And of course, depending on what you are telling, the wording is critical. Use your word thinking about the impact of your words. And I mentioned this, the one things that help you from the storytelling skills is related to pausing. Pausing, when you use your voice, help very much to choose the right words. Pausing help you to articulate your idea, choosing the right word. Because being brief doesn't mean that you need to be fast. You don't have to deliver the things in the way this way. You needed to be very clear articulating what you're saying, and of course you don't too slow, but with the right pace, using the right pause, giving the right weight to each word, you can make an impact. So be brief means also using wording that have an impact. Then the structure. I already mentioned to go straight to the point, have a clarity about what you want to say. But structure is something that you need to keep in mind. And I mentioned last week during the live in the last week. In impromptu speaking, when I mentioned that how to answer to questions that are unexpected, and one of the things was, especially if you are in the beginning, so move from let's say from the beginner to the professional, use the structure, opening, body, and conclusion. So structure is important, and the structure is, keep in mind, key message first. Key message first. We are in late. We are in delay. We are delayed because this reason. This is as a project manager, not as a storytelling communicator. I can tell you something as a project manager. In my close to 20 years of project and program management, I've been in countless status reporting meeting. Countless. 20 years, can you imagine? At least once every week, if not twice a week, in a status reporting meeting. Okay. And with Agile, maybe every day stand up. How many times I have witnessed technical people, product lead, project manager going in the meeting and doing their report or explaining where we are and not telling as a first things why we are where we are. The status is red because these reasons. The status is amber because this reason. We are recovering. We have done these things last week. The activity are almost completed, and we are just go straight to the point as a first things. Don't start from other point. Everyone in the meeting room want to know where we are, or want to know the most important things. If you have a slide, go to the slide, but the most important thing is that the status of this week is amber because this and that. It seems so silly to say, but I can tell you I have seen countless that people were not able to articulate where the project was the piece of work was, and why was in that point. That is, in the end, is a story. You are telling the story of the last week. You are telling why you are in that point. You are telling why you decided to redevelop the famous API that I was talking about before. So structure before key message and then context. So when we talk about the structure before the key message, and the key message in a professional environment is what the message that you want to communicate, and then the context, okay, and the background and everything else, okay. So key message first and then context. This is going to happen for this reason, because we don't want to leave back obsolete piece of software. We want to make sure that everything is working. We want to make sure that performance are great, whatever it is. Structure. Then the fourth element is brevity, and it's, I mean, this is silly, Ricardo. I mean, of course, we are talking about how to have a concise communication. Well, brevity is it definitely an element. I add in my 5 point because I give you an example. Last 2 days ago, I was talking with one person that is a teacher in a uni, and he was telling me, yeah, in our uni we have students that are going to deliver their presentation, and we want them to be able to present properly, and we want also them not to start talking for hours. Sometimes it's going to happen that one side, as I mentioned before, one side you are very shy, you have a fear to speak, and you don't add too many information, or you don't go to the point. You say, oh yeah, we decided to rebuild the API. That's it. Of course, this is very short, but it's not telling all the point. It's not have clarity, structure, blah blah blah, all those things. But sometimes it happens that there are some of us that start saying this, I don't know, Emule came out with a white paper telling that this kind of integration layers needs to be refreshed, blah 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 blah, and start talking about a lot of technical things. And then say, we did this test, and then from the test we found that the time of the data exchange was too long, and it was more working as a planned, and our test team sent back to us several times this API. We were not understanding when this is going to happen, and I talk too much. Get lost. Brevity is important. Brevity is connected to what I said before. You need always to keep in mind how I make my message short. And of course, 7 lesson of I go back to the book of the 7 brief lessons of physics. I mean, there are books, the theory of relativity. I have a book of theory of relativity and all the details that is like this. And it's just, let's say, the general relativity. And Carlo Rovelli explained it in 10 pages. So where is the point? The point is you need to... There are situations where you can do a lecture and you can go into detail. There are situations where you need to have a very clear in mind that brevity is important. So keep it short. Keep it short. It's something that your brain needs to be used to, oh, I'm talking too much, let's keep it short. But if you use the elements that I give you, let's say element 1, 2, 3, clarity, impact, and structure, then brevity come from them. But it's not easy. So Carlo Rovelli says very clearly, a poor stroke of genius, the gravitational field is not diffused through space, the gravitational field is the space itself. Bang. No formula, no idea, no waffling. This is the key. So brevity means that you have the key message clear to you. You have a technical person, you are very professional, you are very knowledgeable in your field, and the brevity is the existing API have a piece of software, have some technical things inside that are not recommended anymore. So they are deprecated. The technical word is deprecated. So they are deprecated. So we don't have to use it anymore. So we decided to rewrite. That's it. Brevity. Make it a tagline. And I will go on brevity on a final part, as usual, of the spontaneous stories, because the final part is always related to having some fun, okay? But the point is brevity is keep it short. And of course, it seems silly, but it's in the 5 elements. And then when is the final element? The final element is memorable. Okay, so the final element is memorable. Possibly, this is not easy. You need to have some practice of this, but possibly you should use a way that makes you make your message that people remember. The easiest way is to tell people to remember it. The easiest way is repeat it. You go in a status meeting with a client, I'm laughing because sometimes people say, oh no, I don't want to repeat it. Well, we decided to refresh and do a new API because the method inside was deprecable, and we refreshed it. That's it. And then this is no. I mean, you been Claire. Maybe you were impacting word. You have the key, the context, but you've been no memorable. And then in next meeting, the client sit in front of you, say, why you refresh? Why you spend the time? Why you are in late because with this API? Oh, I told you last week. So be memorable. Make sure that your audience remember what you say. And one easy thing is repeat it. Repeat it. In Toastmaster, we say tell them again. Now, maybe in a professional environment, you want to sound too much waffling or repeating, but just make sure that when you end what your reason why the API was refreshed, they say, that's why we are in late. Next week, we are going to recover as much as possible the time. But this is an important point. This method was deprecable, and this API have to be refreshed. Tell again, just to make sure that you underline the point. Tell again. There is nothing bad to tell again to close. So you say the key message, then you say the context, why you did the API, why you spend time to refresh them, all of them, and then you close memorable way with say the API. You can, if you are much more used, you can use analogy, you can use a quote, you can use funny words, just to make sure that your audience pinpoint in mind. And if you are maybe in a professional way, you can say, I will write this into this next status report. Just tell something that the people in the audience pinpoint. Sometimes it's easy just to repeat. Sometimes just to mention that you will mention into the next status report, or you have a mention in this status report and then you will remove when it's time to remove it. But just make sure that you are memorable. You leave something back that people will remember the point. One point can be you don't want to use an obsolete piece of software in your new application, your mobile application. We don't want to deliver something that in the future can create problems. Just to make sure that you end in a memorable way and stick in the mind. So sticking in the mind of your audience is a key thing. So don't just say all the elements, but be stick in the mind of you. Now, we are 36 minutes into the live today, and as usual, when we are going to approach the end of the live, I love to do some play. I mean, it's not really a play, but something a little bit an add-on for today. And the add-on for today is related to the tagline. So do you know what the tagline is? The tagline are this very short description or memorable statement that in a few words makes create the concept. Famous tagline for newspaper. For example, the Washington Post have democracy dies in darkness. I have brought some of them here. Yeah. Or for example, from the movies. Movies are very famous. Movies have a very good sorts of taglines, like Alien. In space, no one can hear you screaming. It's a very impactful tagline that captured attentions, and it could be like a metaphor. It could be like an analogy, but not is exactly a metaphor. An analogy is something that describes very quickly what's going on. And in space, no one can hear you screaming. It's just describing what's going to happen. You are in the space. There is something very horrific that makes you screaming, but let's make more, let's say, painful or more, let's say, sponsful the fact that no one can hear you. Everything is in how many? 1, 2, 7, 8 words. 8 words. In space, no one can hear you scream. Sorry. Yeah, 8 words. Exactly 8 words. Fantastic. Of course, to make it your concept punchy and interesting in a very short tagline, like Carlo Rovelli did in his book for the 7 brief lesson, condensed in very short statement, 2 or 3 phrases, key elements of the modern physics. Well, you need time. You really need the time. But let's go for a little play before I close for today live. I'm going to do some movie description. I'm going to tell some movie description, and then you can guess which movie is. So one movie description. The first one is a billionaire cosplay as a bat to work through his childhood trauma. Okay? I don't disclose which movie is. This one was easy for me. I found it. The second one is something that it took me just a few seconds to think. Old man pretend to befriend a Boy Scout, but actually just want free labor to move his house. I let you find the solution. Then another one that I was using in my training and courses is this one. A group of nerds spends 9 hours returning jewelry. Well, that's amazing, and I always use it in my trainings. So you can put in the comment if you have an idea what it's about. And then the final one that make me really laughing because I struggle. Actually, it took some time to me to find it, and I would like to leave with this one today session. Talking frog convinces a son to kill his dad. Yes? Okay. Say that. I would like just to thank you everyone that was into the live today, following me with the concept of be brief in professional environment. What are the elements that you needed to consider? How these elements are supported by proper storytelling, communication, proper things proper techniques that I mentioned in a past live. You can recover the past live in LinkedIn or more easily in my YouTube channel. You can go in YouTube, search for Spontaneous Stories or for Riccardo Ginevri, and you can rewatch all the videos because the video are recorded in LinkedIn. The LinkedIn is a little bit more complex. Find it, but they are very easy to find all the videos in YouTube, and I'm going to also to load in YouTube very soon my short video insights that I deliver every Monday. Say that if you want to learn more, if you want to have a chat with me about how you can improve your communication, your public speaking, send me a direct message, mainly in LinkedIn, connect with me. I will be very happy to have a free chat with you, see what you are looking for, what are your point of weakness, what you want to improve. Not everyone is at the same level. You may want to start overcoming the fear of the stage. You want to be more engaging during your status report meeting. You have a teams that needs to be able to connect with the client. Whatever it is, just get in touch with me. I can really help having my experience in communication and technical consulting project. Say that. Thank you again to be with me today. Have a great rest of the day and enjoy your weekend when coming. Bye.